You ready for this?
Gonna be fun.
You will not stand in my way.
Frostborn. Hunger. This pleases me.
I do not fear you, mortal.
Your soul shall be mine.
Don't make me laugh.
Needs a brew? Oh, I do. Feel a shredding, baby. Let the battle begin.
Hello and welcome to the 32nd episode of Trollin HGC, Heroes of the Storm podcast focused on esports and a member of the Trolls.gg Entertainment Network. I'm your host, LiQuiuD, and I'm joined today as usual by Bahgz. How's it going, man?
What's going on, dude? I am very happy that you're back. I'm glad to see that you are healthy and looking well.
Right?
It was a struggle last week without you. We had ugly overlay. We had me hosting, which went all right, but I am very happy to have you back. It's a lot less stress, and I got to do, I don't know. I'm in my comfort zone, man. So thank you for coming back and being alive.
You're welcome. And we're joined today by Trollin HGC veteran and coach of LFM Esports, HeroPhysio. How's it going, man?
It's going great. Thanks for having me back again.
Congratulations on this weekend's win, too, by the way.
Thank you. I'll pass that on to the team.
Absolutely, absolutely. Before we jump into all of the stuff we're going to talk about, I want to take a minute to thank our Patreons over at patreon.com/trollsgg. We do share that with all the Trolls.gg properties. And we got a brand new one again this week. Thank you, San. We are just one more step closer to the next reward tier that Bahgz is actually working on redoing for us. So thank you very much. Also, along with that Patreon is our Troll of the Week. And I thought I'd get a little bit of payback since I was out last week. Daz made me apparently the Troll of the Week. So this week, Daz is the Troll of the Week. And to be honest, though, and to be fair to him, like without his idea to start the Nexus Trolls, none of this would exist. So thank you, Daz, for all that you do for Trolls GG. And please enjoy Disney World on your vacation this week. All right. We only have one thing of news really to talk about, and that is the HGC Minute. Have you guys watched that?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic piece. It's actually 2 minutes, but I love it anyway.
Right? I'm like, it wasn't quite a minute, but it is awesome, and I did enjoy watching it too. Bahgz, did you get a chance to watch that or no?
I did. I watched that the moment I saw that pop up on my Twitter feed. They did a really great job with that. So shout out to Cloakin and putting in the work. He's got that. I don't know if it's like he was wearing a small shirt or if the dude has just been working out, because he's looking jacked in that video too, by the way. So
he definitely looks way more jacked than he did when we were at BlizzCon.
So shout out to him. Well, but that part of that might have been the suit. Who knows?
Yeah, you're right.
But,
that's fair. That's fair.
He's beefing up for some good cosplay.
There you go.
Ready for BlizzCon.
That could also be the case, right?
He'd grow his hair out and play some Varian, man.
Yeah. There you go. Twin Blades Varian. All right. You guys want to jump into some results? Because I feel like we should jump into some results.
It's like we do a show about it.
Right? I mean, who'd have thought? But we got a bumper for results, so let's...
It's the 1-for-1 trade as we once again have the Dragon Blade used on the side of Genji. He's trying that in. Dashes out, sail yellow.
That was just about the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's a dance party and you're invited.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to HGC Western Clash.
All right, so we got some media poll results. We got some actual game results that we're going to talk about. Let's go ahead and let's just start with the Gold Series. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and switch what you guys are looking at while we talk about China. There we go. All right. So China played like a super fast first half of the season. And it's done.
It's already over.
If you blinked, you missed it. Definitely check out some of the VODs. There were some great VODs in there. Worth watching. But, they're off until the playoffs start, which is February 26th, which is pretty awesome. They're doing a stepladder playoff, going through that. SPT, though, pretty dominant in this season, finishing with 36 points. CE close behind with 30, but 36 is a long way ahead of BTG, who finished in 6th with only 14 points and looked really good last season. Yeah,
I was really... So I didn't get a chance to catch a lot of China, but I was very surprised by the results. Now, the one was the other team that came in with Beyond the Game last year at the end of the season, up from their amateur scene.
Yep.
And performed really well. So seeing them in third wasn't a huge shock at 24 points, but Beyond the Game kind of like not bringing up the rear, but performing really poorly and finishing in sixth was a shocker because that's a BlizzCon team. That was a team that went to BlizzCon, so kind of unexpected.
I agree. Completely agree. I was surprised by that. I've caught a number of the games. It's been interesting being on the main stream instead of Kendrick's own stream, but
yeah,
I kind of find that I enjoy that more.
Well, it's nice, honestly. Now, it's kind of rough. So it stinks for Kendrick's brand, you know, trying to promote his stream, what he does personally as an internet. I don't want to say identity. That's not personality. Internet personality.
Yep.
Similar thing happened to Jake with Arcane 8. He lost Open Division and Grubby as well, because all of that's on the Blizz Heroes channel now. It's nice because Blizzard consolidated all of it onto one channel. The viewerships actually will probably go up because of that. Right. But it is a little bit of a bummer. Again, like you said, I prefer it that way, and I think that's why they did it.
Right.
But it is a bit of a bummer for the guys that are putting in the work to produce the content on their own end, that they don't really benefit from it as much as they did before. That's
true. I can see that. And then jumping over to Korea. All right, yeah, that came out nicely. We have Tempest surprising me. Tempest and Ballistic sitting in the 1-1 spot. Both 9 points. Or I'm sorry, both with 9 wins and 0 losses right now.
They're both undefeated. They haven't dropped a single map for the entire season. And for the most part, the only difference between the two is that Tempest 3-0'd KSV, which caught the entire world off guard, pretty much to start off the HGC season. Other than that, they really haven't played I think Ballistics played Blossom, and Tempest played Miracle, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
So they've played middle tier teams, but they haven't played. It's just, I don't know. Korea it's such a defined region. But
right.
So I broke it down in the notes here. I'm like, there's the haves, which is KSV, Ballistic, Tempest. The middle class, I call them, dubbed them, Miracle and Blossom. And then there's the have-nots, which is Gluck, Ace, and Felice.
Right.
So there are really defined lines between all these teams, and they each have beaten one team in the middle class, and then kind of beaten up on the have-nots, except for Tempest beating KSV. So it's kind of hard to just words are hard, man.
I get what you're saying, right? To try and figure out who's really number one. Yeah.
Who's really number one, but that's why we get to watch them play the games. And peeking ahead to this weekend, man, Tempest gets to play Ballistics. That's pretty much the matchup of the weekend on a kind of light weekend.
Right. And then jumping over to EU, Dignitas sitting atop the pyramid.
Yep.
Fnatic and Team LiQuiD not tied, but both at 2-1. Fnatic has lost one less map than LiQuiD has. Tricked and Method rounding out the middle with Zealots, Diamond Skin, and Leftovers sitting in the bottom. But Diamond Skin did pick up that huge win over Team LiQuiD, 3-2.
That was kind of part of two really exciting matches that, maybe exciting is not the right word, but two big upsets that were unexpected in EU, right? So we had Diamond Skin and Zealots both pick up wins that were completely unexpected. LiQuiD played really well in week 1, and Diamond Skin did not look that great. And now I can hear Trent right now saying, I called it. I said this team had so much potential. But listen, I don't think anyone really expected them to beat LiQuiD. And they won 3-2. And honestly, one of the matches that they lost, it should have been a 3-1 because they threw one of those, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So, so for Fnatic to lose to Zealots, that's just, the new roster has left a lot to be desired in the victories that they had attained. And losing to Zealots just kind of puts an exclamation point on that. Are we pressing the red alert button yet? Like, I mean, technically they're still in second place in EU, but should we have major concerns? Maybe. I don't know.
Right. Well,
what do you? I'm sorry. I was just gonna ask Hero for his thoughts on it.
Go ahead.
I mean, so that's a tough one, because if this were my team and I were coaching them, I would look at all the factors. Only 2 weeks in, new meta is shaping, right? I haven't been able to catch all of China. I haven't been able to catch all of Korea, but you can already see things like Tyrael Judgment coming back and certain things like that, where it does help shape the meta. So some teams like KSV Black might be a little bit slower to adapt, but once you put that time into study, once it stabilizes a little bit more, you figure out the meta, you figure out what your play style is good at and what your team is good at, then you bounce back a little bit stronger. You learn from these mistakes. This is how we were punished in those first 2 weeks. There's still a lot of season left to be played. I just told my team today that it was a marathon, and so we had to be in it for the long haul. So 2 weeks in, I mean, I'm not gonna do a whole fire sale and change the whole thing up.
Right. Well, you can't yet, right? If you can, Fnatic would probably be scared right now. After what happened with Zealots, right? Like, they'd be running for the hills, because what do you do at that point? You're here and you're looking to get a win, and you're Fnatic, and you lost 3-2 to Zealots, and you're in week 2. That's, you know, if you were gonna fire sale, that's the team that would be doing the fire sale right now.
I will say this for him: it is still the roster that. And maybe it's just shout out to Quack as the shot caller. It is the team with the most ballsy but effective shot calling out there. You know, I noted it. They showed off their veteran prowess when they were playing Method. What was it? I think in that series they had 2 backdoor core calls that were like, is this really going to happen? And it worked. And they won because of it. So, like, sometimes maybe things might not be clicking that you want the way you want them to, but they are fixable issues as the season progresses. But there are things that take much longer to fix, like really high quality shot calling, to make snap decisions like that, to win games that are close that you might lose otherwise, that take a much longer time to perfect. And that hasn't left that team. That's still there. That veteran leadership and decision making is still there, and it's still very effective, as we saw. And
then we also have Nabby in chat saying he's more worried about Method. Method's like solid middle of the camp right now, but if you're Dig and you know you're slightly worried about Method over Zealots, that's a thing. I could see that being a thing, and I could see Method taking a game and Zealots not taking. They're definitely interesting. The middle of EU is like,
that's a nightmare, dude.
Right, because they could go either way, right? Method, Zealots, and Tricked. Who knows what you're gonna get that day? I don't want to bag on Diamond Skin or Leftovers. Lobber's an awesome dude. I'm so happy Leftovers is in, and I'm hoping they can find their LFM moment, if you will. But Tricked, Method, and Zealots are all solid teams, and even Team LiQuiud to a degree. That like the top 6 teams in Europe are gonna do battle, and it'll be interesting to watch.
It's a great region. It's I mean, it's not the region that I watch the most. Obviously, NA is the region I watch the most. You know, as an NA homer, and it's just a convenience thing too. It's the time that it's on. But EU, man, it's just, there's no doubt about it. It is the most competitive region. It is a ton of fun to watch. It's a ton of fun to try and predict and fail at. It is. It's a great region. Like, so I wanted to mention this too. Like, so Navi's mentioning that Method's the scariest team. There's no doubt about it. That team on paper potentially is just like, it could be terrifyingly good, but it has to click. And maybe these tests that they got just now this past weekend, because they had 2 premier matchups this past weekend. They faced Fnatic, which was formerly the best team in EU, and Dignitas, which is currently the best team in EU. They faced them in week 2. Maybe that would have been a more spicy matchup if the schedule had worked out in such a way that was later in the season, after that team had more time to I don't know, based in the oven or whatever turkeys do.
Right. No, that's a good point. It makes sense.
Marinate. I
Marinate.
think that's the word I was looking
Marinate is
for.
probably better than based, but we'll go with based. All right. Well, let's jump over to NA, which is more in probably everybody's wheelhouse here.
For sure.
You get this one, man.
So I try to make it a point not to curse on the show. So North America is a flustercluck. Like, I don't know what's going on. DB Smiley had a really great notation in his most recent Heroes Hearth article with the media poll, where the bottom 4 teams in the media poll have all defeated the team directly above them. And let's see, I'll pull up the link real quick so I can kind of like visualize it better. But basically, the point he was trying to make was, so Space Station has beaten LFM, and the way these are ranked, Space Station is ranked in last place, but they have beaten LFM, which is ranked in 7th. LFM has beaten Gale Force, which is ranked in 6th, and Gale Force has beaten Simplicity, which is ranked 5th. So wrap your brain around that if you can. I can't. It's just, I guess what it means is now North America isn't EU, but the region's got more competitive.
So I just switched this over to the media poll. And these are the results of the media poll, which DB published today. And it's very interesting. Like, the placement is definitely different. With the exception of a few key teams, the placement in the media poll does not match the HGC poll or the HGC standings right now.
Well, that's the funny thing about power rankings. There are a lot of what have you done for me lately?
Right.
They're heavily influenced by the recent results and a league that goes from that plays only on the weekends, similar to the NFL.
Right.
It's even more weighted, especially in short seasons like we have. So it's just Space Station has had 2 bad weeks and have dropped from what I think they were like supposed to be the 5th best team to all the way down to last because of it.
Right.
So it's just, I don't know. Looking at it, would you move any of those teams around while we have it up? Are there any like media rankings you disagree with?
I would. I would. LFM would be up above in 6th above GFE. That's the only change I would make here. Well, I personally think Team 12 is better than Tempo, but the results aren't bearing that out right now. So, you know, take it how you see how you want to. It's hard. It's only week 2 of the season, right? Like that's the challenge that we have right now. It's only week 2, and you have to wait. You know, I think we need to get into like 4 or 5, or maybe even into phase 1, part 2, where we're past the what do they call the first one? It's the Clash, right? The Clash,
yes, Western Clash.
Yeah.
Yep.
So after Clash, I think we'll see everything kind of settle out better than it is right now.
Okay.
I mean, he's got one thing right. He's got LFM moving up the rank. So I mean, I can get behind that.
I would hope so, man.
Would you adjust anything, Hero? In your if you gave us your impartial opinion?
My impartial opinion, I think the standings kind of speak for themselves. I mean, when you're only 2 weeks in, you go by what you have seen.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to go by match results too, right? Does a 3-0 actually mean a 3-0? Or does the 3-2, could that have gone either way? So I think what some of the media might have seen in these was, even though we dropped the set as a LFM to Space Station, we took the first game. We came straight out, took the first game. And then if you looked at the rest of the games, they're actually quite competitive. And some of them, arguably, we could have won as well. I think what some of the media is probably projecting then is also potential. Yeah. Right. This is 2 weeks in. This is where I think they'll be or have more potential to move into. I think they're pretty close. Again, LFM could definitely move up. I'd like to see that. But the other teams, you know, I'm not too much into power rankings. I let the results speak for themselves. So I'll leave it at that part.
That's fine. That's a valid answer.
Spoken like a true man, actually a part of the scene and not someone who just wishes they were.
Right. I mean, the reality is, right, we watch the games, and you know, some of the people are writing articles, some of the people are doing podcasts. It's if you look at the group that he has, it's kind of all over the spectrum of we consume Heroes games and then we regurgitate something out to an audience, right? And so when you think about that, it's interesting where you like if you think about the power rankings, we all have our own unique take on it, which is colored by what kind of content do I provide? What kind of content do I focus on? Someone that focuses on EU is going to have a different EU vision than I'm going to have, right? Like that's just the way media polls work. So I think it's interesting it's cool to see how they compare to the actual standings. But yeah, I think it's an interesting thing, and that's why I enjoy doing it. So
I think they are fun because they can get spicy, and then you just get to put your own personal opinion spin on them, man. And it's just entertaining, and I'm all about it. Now, if I were to move a couple things around, I'd throw Team 12. You see that there are 2 #1 votes for Team 12. I was one of them. Okay, so I even voted for Team 12 over my beloved Team Freedom. I voted for Team Freedom in second to put them in the second spot, and Tempo Storm firmly in third. Heroes Hearth between Heroes Hearth and Simplicity, I think that's really close, and it bears out in the results. I think from there on out, it's probably fair. Would I switch Gale Force and LFM? I love you, Hero, but I don't know if I would. I think we need a bigger sample size before I commit to that. Luckily, we've got 3 more weeks before the Clash to really start getting a great idea before these teams go on break for a little bit.
Okay. All right. So I want to go over. You have a bunch of meta notes. I think that's a good time to flip the Twitch clips on that you collected. So we're gonna go ahead and.
With a double gray main, they can go for the core.
Look at that. Twitch clips probably playing that Bahgz picked out is like solid games.
There's a cocoon already being
and
used so
let's go ahead and let's go over your meta notes.
Basically, so in North America, Greymane still has 100%, and these are just guys. I'm not like doing any like serious deep dive. They're just things like I'm flipping through them. I'm like, hey, that's kind of interesting. Let me share that with the public. I'm not sure everyone knows that. Greymane still has a 100% participation rate, but only a 27% win rate. I wouldn't have expected that, so I thought that was interesting. And this is in North America. Keep in mind. Tassadar kind of crept his way back into the meta in week 2. He's sitting on a 73% win rate, showed up in 4 of the 5 matches in the Team 12 versus Tempo series, and then again in 3 of the 5 matches in the Tempo versus Team Freedom series. Thought that was interesting because we hardly saw him in week 1. Yeah. In Europe, this was really cool, and it was a very interesting just difference between Europe and the rest of the world. They have 14 heroes sitting above 50% participation rate in drafts compared to 7 in North America, 8 in Korea, and 8 in China. So literally almost double.
That and I want to dive in a little bit on that because Heroes here and LFM is an NA team. Why are we so pigeonholed on those 7 heroes that they literally are played every game, or involved? I should say involved.
So I'll talk about maybe draft in general.
Yep, that's fine.
So when you draft, there are certain times where you just want to draft what your team is good at, and then sometimes you want to take away what the other team is good at. So it comes down to the priority of your own team and the priority of the other team. If the other team's entire game plan is centered around a few certain pieces, sometimes you want to take those away. Suddenly those become contested pieces. Maybe you didn't put as much priority on them as a regular team, but this is where that inter-team meta kind of comes from, is that you know that these will come into play, and certain players' hero pools lend themselves to this set of heroes. And so all of a sudden, that's what they practice, that's what they play. And then other teams will see that. That's what they practice. That's what they play. That's what they prepare for. And then the meta sort of merges in a sense. But eventually, you'll get this counter meta, and then the counter meta, and then you'll end up seeing some of these other heroes at some point.
The counter meta. I love that. That's a great term. We're keeping that.
so the theory is that EU is so ingrained and competitive that they're into like the ultimate deception. What was that movie with the dreams inside a dream inside Inception, not deception.
Yeah, Inception.
They've got the ultimate Inception going on, right? Like they've got a draft inside a draft inside a draft, countering inside of a counter. So like that's how we got to where we are today with that.
I think some of that can come from the roster swaps too, right? If you have people swapping from one team to another, well, I know they play this because that's what we liked in this situation, and I mean everybody's on everybody's team now, so they have more insights into each other's draft styles or strategies, and they can try to counter that.
Okay,
great.
I think you're at Korea.
I am up to Korea, yes. So the big thing I wanted to point out in Korea, which I thought was interesting, is Sonya is by far the most popular solo laner in Korea. She's sitting on a 7, and I used pick rate, not participation rate here. 72% pick rate. Basically 3/4 of matches she's showing up in, compared to the next highest solo laner, which was LiQiuD at 32%, Dahaka at 25%, and Malthael at 22%. Like double their pick rates. Participation rates.
Sonya is an interesting one because I think,
and only in Korea is it like that. I went through the other regions.
Yeah,
it's not like that.
So, Hero, you should know this, and I'm going to ask you because you're here. But this week is still on the Blaze patch, right? And next week is the Blaze balance patch where Sonya got nerfed into the ground.
She got changed. Yeah. We'll have new Tyrio. We'll have Blaze in there. Everybody will be in there. Yeah.
But that's next week, right? Not this week, or is it? Okay. All right. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens to her pick choices next week. And the same with LiQiuD. LiQiuD seems on the rise this past weekend. Like, there was a lot of solo lane LiQiuD getting picked. So, okay, that was all I wanted to add. Go ahead.
Oh, it's just and then in the worldwide meta, so like China, I couldn't really find anything interesting. Sorry, China. Sorry, people were curious. I literally couldn't find anything. It was just kind of like all vanilla. It was like, yeah, they use Greymane a lot, Genji a lot, Hanzo a lot. It was nothing really too interesting, which is funny because China usually gives you the spiciest drafts, but it was just that some of that stuff is still too one-off to kind of like find it when you're pulling through all the stats.
I think they were the region that played the most Blaze, though. That's where I've seen most of the clips come out from. So
he showed up in he showed up in one of the clips that we have playing. It's the ETC Blaze combo where he does his like combustion or whatever with the mosh pit, and it was just, I don't know, it's titled Inferno, which is great. Basically what I want to say is, I'm sure everyone knows this already. If you're listening to this show, you watch a lot of HGC and you already know this. But double support's officially dead as far as the most popular comp goes. It's I probably could have said that last week, but two weeks of games is a little bigger sample size. Single support comps were played 313 times more. So mostly seeing double warrior, single support, double damage comps. But yeah, just wanted to throw that out there for you guys.
Awesome.
So fun factoids, basically. Before we start previewing next week's games, we have Hero here for a reason. I wanted to, could you, like, I'm going to swing back here to wherever I wrote these questions down. Where are they? How have your first 2 weeks of HGC coaching gone, buddy?
It's been incredibly fun. We've been together as a team, or I've been working with the team before the new year, so it's actually been a few months that I've been working with the guys. We did a lot of preparation. That was kind of our preseason, and we did a lot of prep coming into it. And then after the first couple of series, that was probably the fastest rate of growth that I saw from the guys once we actually got into the matches. And it was almost like it was real, and the guys really took everything to heart, and it's just been really fun seeing that growth. I mean, I do it in my day job, and I do it when I get home, is just help people find their potential. So it's really rewarding and satisfying to see the guys, get to realize the success that they've been after.
Absolutely, I bet. I was just going to ask you, how much of a difference was it to go from basically like, hey, this is what it's going to be like, and like kind of like trying to prepare it and like scrimming and practicing, and to be like, okay, now the lights are on, the viewers are there, it's game time, and like what a difference that kind of made for the team, like, and learning from that especially after, the first week and getting your first couple of HGC lumps.
Yeah. Preseason, whenever we'd go into a scrim, I'd actually say, all right, picture this, 20,000 Twitch viewers. Twitch chat is already memeing Figgy. And we'd go in and we try to do these scrims. But then, after we get our first loss, that's pretty humbling. I mean, we were so excited after we win our first game. And then, we let those other ones slip. And so we had a really good session. We ended up streaming it kind of last minute. Let's do our VOD review online. It was a humbling experience. We saw our mistakes and we took those to heart, and we went back and we scrimmed hard for a week. We practiced hard, actively changed things. And, it changed the team's, I guess, work ethic and the way that they approach some of these scrims and the VOD reviews and everything, because we did them all. We went through the motions. I put that schedule up there. And the team really worked at everything. And now you're almost seeing like they're kicking it into another gear. Like, hey, this is possible. We took one game, we can do 3. We took 3 games versus 2, we could maybe do a 3-1.
Right.
If we do 3-1, we can do 3-0s.
Nice.
I guess my next question for you is, so you mentioned briefly you did the online VOD review. How did you how was it difficult to censor sensitive information that you wouldn't want out in the public, but still making it an entertaining and really like resourceful tool for viewers, which is what it was. It was a great community giving project from you guys, from the pro scene.
So my priority is always to the team first. Right?
Yep.
So hiding information was definitely up there, but making sure that it was still a productive session for my guys in that moment. I mean, pointing out mistakes, pointing out other things, those come naturally. The guys are intelligent players. They see it themselves. I just have to lead them in the right direction, and they'll see things without me having to say it. Now, is it difficult to hide some of the stuff that I want to say in the moment? Yeah, I mean, I just save that stuff for later. We've got 3 or 4 other scrims later on that's like, oh yeah, remember during that game in that session? Well, okay, this is what I actually wanted to say. Right. So there was some behind the scenes afterwards, where we went through it. This is obvious. We fix this. We clean this up. But then seeing something and hearing something once is usually not enough for learning. You have to go back, reiterate, practice it again, do it in action, repetition. And so that's where we get the next scrim, and the next scrim, where we go back and say, hey, remember this, remember this, remember this. And that's how we make some of those changes. So, one session out there as a VOD review, it's great for the community. Glad we did it. Glad people enjoyed it and got everything out of it. And hopefully I didn't give too much away.
So let me ask a different. Well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't think you did. You won.
Yeah.
You beat GFE.
True. That's true. Scrims. So how far in advance are you guys scheduling scrims? Because you obviously the season schedule. So you know who you're not going to scrim that week. Are you guys like the whole month out, or is it a week or two, play it by ear? Like how's that work out for you guys?
I know scrim schedules have changed. I'm not the manager, so I don't do the scheduling or anything like that. I leave that up to the managers to figure out the schedules, the team schedule, the other team schedules. It's actually a lot of logistical work to make sure that everyone's schedules line up. I know that before this open division, I think some of the guys didn't scrim, or there are very few, very infrequent scrims. Preseason, we started to get more and more. Once the team was sponsored, signed, it became very regular to have scrims. Now that we're in HGC and it is the thing, this is what we're doing. Yeah. It's, I don't know, 3-4 times. Sometimes I'm not there. I have a day job. These guys play a lot on their own too. But we are, I think, scheduling probably 2 weeks in advance. So whatever we have this week, the week after, and we're trying to just keep that rolling, making sure that we have good practices lined up. Right. And that's a combination. I mean, our schedules are everything from VOD reviews to scrim practices. And then sometimes we do a few other things too.
I was this close to hearing what those other things were. Cool. Okay.
The last thing I just wanted to ask you in chat, feel free to throw a couple in chat, and if we can fairly ask them, we will. Fairly meaning if Hero can answer them. And then same thing goes to this question, Hero. Did you make any changes going from week 1 into week 2 to prepare for GFE that you can like elaborate on, or are they all trade secrets? And if they're all trade secrets, that's fine. But if you have something you can share, that would be great.
Yes, we made changes.
You know, for a second there, I felt bad about wearing the Team Freedom jersey because you're facing them Friday. I don't feel bad anymore.
Oh, that was great.
If you go back and watch the VOD review that we did, I can say that there were direct learnings that we took from the loss, that if we replay the same situation in the GFE games, there's direct improvement from the way we handled those situations and the way we played them. So yeah.
Go ahead. Or were you done with that?
I was done with that.
Okay.
That was pretty much the thought.
Nabby asks, how much do you influence drafts?
So I think we've talked about this before. Is going into it, you know, I wasn't sure if I would be available all the time or if I would be present or allowed. So my approach going in was always prepare the team to draft for themselves. Teach them how to draft, teach them the tools to draft. My job is almost to act as an antagonist and as a counter drafter. And so whatever the team wants to draft, I'll say, yeah, what if I draft this, and then I beat you with this? So then they have to come up with all these considerations, make sure they have the tools, make sure they have a game plan in mind and how to execute it, make sure they understand what their win condition with this particular draft is and what their rotations are going to look like, you know, while I throw all these other things at them to consider.
Okay. Super Dave asks, is there LFM merch? And you may know, you may not know, or Short Steve in chat might be able to answer that.
At this time, I do not think any is available, but soon TM, just like those Freedom jerseys, I think they will potentially maybe one day be on the way, but at this time, I don't think there is. If you do want to support the team, you can go check the guys out. They do stream. Figgy has now changed his. I believe it's Piggy Figgy with an underscore. Special T still streams. Draded has been streaming a lot of good stuff lately too. So you can check those guys out.
Cool. All right, that's a good one. For She's asks, do you think NA has a better meta than EU, or how do you feel about each right now?
Better meta. So every now and then I go to a dictionary, I look up what is meta. Meta is the most effective tactic available. And so what's the most effective tactic available in NA or in EU? Proteus. I think it's pretty regional specific. And until you get together internationally, there'll be a different meta. That'll be the international meta. What's the best tactic in that setting, in that scenario between the two? So can you have a local meta and then a global meta? I think so. What's the best one? You'll have to find out at the Brawl.
That was an excellent answer.
That was a really great answer, actually, despite me like interrupting you with Proteus rudely. But wow, that was I guess when you go strictly by the definition, there is really no such thing as a most effective meta when you're comparing, because each scenario is different, right? Each environment's different.
Right.
So
I mean, you could even change that week to week, right? And
spicy,
it would still be
spicy.
true. That's
yeah.
a good point.
Yeah, maybe I'll add to that is I think if you get stuck thinking this is the meta, this is the most effective tactic available all the time, then it's the only tactic available all the time.
Right, and then you're yeah, no. All right, my head hurts now.
We've qualified above my pay grade. Moving on.
I'm like trying to follow that thought and thinking my way further past that, and it's like, oh Jesus, that's a rabbit hole.
What happens when you invite the Zen Master on, man?
Right. All right. So Annalise asked this, and I don't necessarily agree with him being quantified this way, but When will you draft the quantifiable best hero in the game, Murky?
I mean, Murky has been played in pro, so I, for one, will never say never. I think it says it on my Twitter too. It says every hero has a win rate, right? So every hero wins under a certain set of conditions. You just have to wait until those conditions are right.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and you do. Every hero has a win rate. That's also a very good point. Wow. All right. I mean, that dovetails into the meta discussion quite nicely, because if you think that Murky will never be in the meta, then you've just closed yourself off from that meta being like, yeah, I'm not going to try and follow that thought further because I'll murder it. But yes.
Let's take a look at next week, shall we?
Let's do that. Yes. Oh, man. All right. Go ahead, man.
All right. So first things first, Friday at 4 a.m. in Korea, we've got Ace versus KSV Black. I think that's going to be a pretty one-sided series. I'm picking it to go 3-0, KSV's favor. LiQuiud.
Same. Ace. Good for Ace, but you're not taking out KSV Black. Sorry, man.
If you win a map off him, pat yourself on the back. That's what I say. What do you think, Hero? Or you wanna bow out of Korea and save yourself for the other regions?
I want to say I'm almost exclusively focused on North America, but respect to KSV. I followed them. I was a fan before I was, a coach, before I was a caster, before I was an analyst. So I mean, you gotta give it to KSV.
Yeah.
I think even Ace would probably agree. At 6 o'clock, we've got Miracle versus Gluck. I expect Gluck to pick up a map win here. The teams actually share the same record. They're both 1-2, I believe. Yep. But Gluck is not new to the scene, but they are the team that came up through the amateur scene, qualified via the Crucible. And their only win is versus Ace, the other team that qualified via the Crucible. So they haven't beaten a team that has been around for a while. So while I think Gluck will take a map off Miracle, I expect Miracle to win 3-1. What are you thinking, LiQuiud?
I went back and forth on this one a lot, but I ended up settling on 3-1 just because I think Miracle is just a much better team at the end of the day. So, yeah.
Veteran status has got to count for something as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
So, all right. Hero, any thoughts, or it's too tough to say, not a region you follow closely enough? Or
don't follow it anymore. I mean, back in the day, it used to be watch Korea, watch EU, watch NA, and that was the day. Now it's watch NA, review NA, study NA.
I think that's
a little bit. Go back to reviewing NA.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I think that's fair, man. All right. So later on in the day on Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern, we've got Dignitas versus Leftovers. Now listen, shout out to Lauer, man. You've been on the show. You're a big fan of the show. And we're a big fan of you, but I'm taking Dig. Dig is looking really good. I'm picking Dig here 3-0.
Same. I look forward to Clash. I want to see Dig against some NA teams and see how that works. But yeah,
oh man,
Dig's
I'm not ready to see the best we have to offer get absolutely bodied. I'm kind of happy in our little bubble where we're doing all right,
Oh, we got to see what the international meta looks like, man.
So then at 2 p.m. we've got Tricked versus LiQuiud. I think this is going to be a competitive series. I expect Tricked to win 3-2. Probably because I'm heavily influenced by LiQuiud losing the Diamond skin last week. Now, if you would ask me this, if this matchup would have happened last week, I'd have been like, oh, yeah, LiQuid's got that. That new roster looks great. And Tricked is, get tricked. But I think it's going to be Tricked 3-2 here. That's my prediction. What are you thinking, LiQuiud?
3-1. I have never felt strongly about LiQuiud ever. And even after the changes, I just don't think they have what they need. So,
all right. So then the round out Friday. Ooh, sorry. Hey, go ahead, Hero. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I got a soft spot for LiQuiud. I mean, did you know there are a lot of Canadian coaches in HGC? There are way more than you think. LiQuid's one of them, but I love Team LiQuid before that too. I mean, they had some great players. They had a really neat meta. They played, the Vikings. They play these somewhat off meta heroes, and they just had a really
Asuka.
exciting style just to watch. So, you know, I secretly root for them. I secretly cheer for them. I want them to do well. I want them to climb back and get some of that glory.
Okay.
Listen, I agree. LiQuid's probably maybe not my favorite EU team, but maybe they are. I don't know. I kind of waffle on it. I don't have a favorite EU team. LiQuid's up there. It's a team that I have. I don't know. There's something about being like, we were the best, and now like the Rocky. It's like the Rocky storyline, right? Like, we were the best. Now we got knocked down. Now we got to like go climb those steps in Philly and get back on top of the horse and get back to the top of EU. In North America, rounding out Friday, we've got Team Freedom versus LFM Esports. And I'm predicting, I don't know if Collusion's still in chat, but shout out to you, man. Great games last week, and good job on the big win against Temple. I'm predicting Freedom, top of the North American standings, Freedom, to win 3-1 versus Heroes LFM Esports squad. LiQuiud, what do you think?
Oh, man. I'm really torn. I think you guys can absolutely take a map off Freedom. I would love to see, because I'm not the Team Freedom like lover that Bahgz is. I would love to see you guys win that, but no, I need my points. I gotta go with the 3-1 here.
I think you guys are adding in that one just because I'm on the show.
No, I would have put that on anyway. I definitely, I think LFM is good enough to take a map off them. I absolutely believe that. So I would have put a 1 anyway. I don't know that you can get more than that.
The 1 is there because you guys beat GFE. To be fair, that's why. Otherwise, last week I probably would have said 3-0. But you guys beat GFE. If you guys won the series, I would probably be shocked, but not as shocked as I would have been pre-GFE win. That was like a real, waterfall. I don't know, man.
Watershed moment is what you're looking for, buddy.
It is watershed, right?
Yes.
Okay, yes. It was expressions are hard today, man. And that was like a real, just a domino, man. Things are, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think LFM's gonna surprise a lot of people after that. I think that things are just gonna start clicking for you guys.
Well, similar to what happened with Zealots, right? Zealots hit their stride, and then they looked really good, and they almost made it to BlizzCon. So,
do y'all
you
want
heard it here first
on this?
Sure, let's hear it.
For sure.
Let's hear it, man.
It's got to be 3-0 LFM.
There you go. I
think to aim for anything less, right? To aim for anything less, I mean, we have to aim for the best, right?
Yes.
We have contingency plans for losses, but you have to come out expecting to win every single game that you go to. Right?
No, you do.
It isn't like you can just come out and say, you know what, we're going to give them this map. We're just going to roll over and let them have this one so that we can have the next picks. No, we come out and we aim to win every single map. So I'll say 3-0.
That's the mentality you have to have. So shout out to you. I think that's great.
Well,
I will be rooting for Freedom. No offense. It's just
he's a Freedom boy.
Gotta root for my team.
He's a Freedom boy.
If I do have a second favorite team in HGC right now, it's for sure LFM. And I'm hoping the team can go to BlizzCon like LiQuiud just predicted. So,
well, like realistically, look, you guys are in a good place. You beat GFE. You guys are on a hot streak. I would love to see you take a map off of Freedom. I'd love to see you beat Freedom. I just don't see that happening. So I'd love to see you at least take a map. But your approach is absolutely correct. You have to go into this saying, we're going to 3-0 them. If we lose a map, all right, now we're going to 3-1 them, right? Like, that's how you have to approach it. You can't approach it as, well, we're going to let them win the first game, so maybe they're overconfident, and then we're going to win. Like, that doesn't work. That never worked. So, good luck. I definitely hope you guys can do it.
All right, so then the cap out Friday, the last match of the day in North America, is GFE versus Space Station. I'm predicting GFE to win 3-1. I'm disappointed in the results we've gotten from Space Station so far. They honestly, it's only 2 weeks in. It might be a little early to say this, but they look like a Crucible team.
Oof.
And to me, that it's like feels bad, man, for Jay Shvite, who moved all the way here to play in the North American HGC. And there is, with the talent that is out there in the American Open division right now, North American Open division right now, prospects are scary for the Crucible teams. So
that's rough.
I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse. Oh yeah, it's Expression Wednesday. I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse, but they look rough, and that's why they are 8th in the power poll right now, and that's why I'm predicting GFE to win 3-1. What do you think, LiQuid?
I think GFE will take it. I think it'll be 3-2. I think Jay is settling into his position and doing well. I think it's just they haven't found their groove yet.
Equinox is still tanking?
Right. We'll leave that as it is.
Yeah, maybe I'll weigh in here just because, well, we've played both these teams. I think they both deserve respect, right? Space Station took the series from us, right? We can't really say much other than, yeah, they beat us 3-1. GFE, you know, with considering everything else, they put up an incredible series against us, and were it not for some clutch plays, it easily could have been 3-2 GFE in our series. So both these teams are very talented. Losses are very humbling. They motivate you to come back even stronger. And if you've got somebody on your team like Jay Schritt, who's on Space Station, I mean, he is probably fired up right now. Yeah. Same thing goes for GFE. Those guys probably just got the biggest wake-up call, right? And so both these teams, I think it will go the distance. I think it'll go 3-2, and I think they will be hot games because these two they're trying to bounce back.
Right.
You know what was missing from that statement, Hero? You didn't predict a winner.
No, he just gave you his thoughts. He didn't say he would give you a prediction. He said, I'm going to share my thoughts with you on this.
They're both winners. You either win or you learn.
There you go.
They're both going to take something away from this.
Well, luckily they're not in the Game of Thrones, because in that one you either win or you die. So, all right, moving on to Saturday at 4 a.m. we have Gluck versus Ace, which is the battle of the two teams that won their Crucible matches. LiQuid and you and I defer on this one. I think it's going to be Gluck 3-2. You believe it's going to be the other way, huh?
Ace takes this 3-2.
Well, that's. I mean, the margin of difference between our guesses is very marginal. So I'm not going to make a big scene about it. Let's move on to the next one.
Wait, all right, hold on.
Okay.
So for anybody that's watched us for a while now, when we used to do the MasterLeague.net challenge, which I'm working on getting on our site now anyway, Bahgz and I used to talk about how sometimes if you're behind in points, you got to make a prediction that maybe you don't necessarily think will happen or you don't believe is the best prediction, but that's your chance to catch up in points. This is a game that can truly go either way. You're ahead of me in points, man. I got to go the opposite. That's just how it works.
I think that's fair. That's a good way to do that. I had a great week last week. I think I got 25 out of 36 possible points.
And I had no points on the board at all. So,
well, I mean, from week one, you had let's see, you had like 11,
yeah,
12 points.
Yeah.
So, all right, I lost my place. Where was I? Yes.
Tempest Felice.
6 a.m. on Saturday, we've got Tempest versus Felice. Tempest 3-0. I think it's pretty straightforward. Felice is the team that backdoored their way into the league when Mighty disbanded. Tempest is on a roll. I think it speaks for itself. Thoughts?
No, nobody's stopping Tempest right now.
You're in agreement. Well, maybe Ballistics, but we'll talk about that in a second. So later in the day on Saturday, we've got Fnatic versus Tricked. I expect Fnatic to win 3-2, but I think it's going to be very competitive. Fnatic is shown some blemishes, including the loss to Zealots, and Tricked has sometimes the opponents they play get tricked, and sometimes they themselves get tricked. I don't really know which team we'll see, but I'm expecting it to be competitive. What do you think?
I do. I expect that's going to be competitive, but not as competitive as you do. I think Fnatic is hitting their oh god moment, and they're going to Just 3-1 tricked.
Okay, they're gonna like buckle down type thing. I think that's fair. I'm gonna lean more heavily into I think Trick will pull out some funky stuff, and make it happen, Captain. So we'll see. Later at 2 p.m. Eastern, Method versus Zealots. I think Method's gonna win 3-1. You expect it to be a little closer, it looks like.
I think Zealots is gonna also get their oh god moment, and they're not gonna beat Method, but they're gonna make it 3-2.
Yeah, I mean, if they, ADRD might pull out some funky drafts, pick up a couple extra games there.
Right.
We'll see. And again, they are coming off a win against Fnatic, so it could happen. I believe in the talent on the Method roster, and they're going to bounce back from a really rough week last week where they had to play Fnatic and Dig. Okay, North America caps us off on Saturday. So at 5 p.m., we've got Team 12 versus GFE. I'm taking Team 12 to win 3-1. They lost the tempo. Yes, they gave up a game to Simplicity. So maybe not as dominant as World 20 was in the second half of Phase 2 last year. But it's still early in the season, and they still look really good.
Yep, agreed. 3-1.
And then capping off North America.
Wait, hold on.
Oh,
it's NA
sorry.
now. It's NA. I want to get some thoughts here from Hero because it's NA.
Oh, sorry. You're right.
I mean, Team 12 is super strong. They played solid against us. I mean, they didn't even really show much on that first set either. They came back. I mean, they still look solid overall. Can GFE, iron out some of the wrinkles in their game plan? Maybe. I think there might be some. I think they might have a few special drafts to deal with Team 12 now that we've seen them play over a couple of weeks. So if GFE does some preparation, I think they could actually sneak a couple of games away from them. I don't think it's a total lockdown either. You can actually, I mean, they have Cavalier Guest on GFE, so he's arguably one of the better analysts in NA. So I mean, if he goes and studies Team 12 and he brings all of that back to GFE and the boys, they could find themselves with a lot of the right tools and put themselves in a good position to take some of those games.
Awesome. Okay.
I think it's fair. Next up, we have got Tempo Storm versus Simplicity. So I'm picking Tempo to win 3-1. I think that Simplicity is better than it's a team that I did not give enough credit in the offseason through 2 weeks of play, from what I can tell. They look better than, I don't want to say that they look better than some of the parts, that'd be the wrong expression, but they look a lot better than they thought they would. And they look, I just don't think that they are ready yet to crack into that top 3 of North America. The real exciting matchup will be when Simplicity plays HeroPhysio Esports, which are two teams I think are very similar in power levels, so to speak. But I don't see them beating Tempo. I think it's going to be 3-1 in favor of Tempo. LiQuid?
I agree with the 3-1. I think Tempo looks solid. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Simplicity in the next couple of weeks. I think they had a relatively decent start, all things considered, but I don't know. I've always had.
Let me see if I can pull up the.
It's not an old boys club, right? And so, like, I feel like the guys on Simplicity treat it like it still is an old boys club. So I kind of want to see Tempo Storm win. But at the same time, like, Tempo Storm did the same thing, right? Like, I struggle. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes.
I think this will be a closer series than I think you two think. The 3-1, I think, could even go up to 3-2. Just it depends on what Tempo brings to the drafts. We saw them show a few different styles over the past couple of weeks. Some very, very wild strategies.
Cho'Gall?
Exactly. And so if Simplicity comes out and plays strong, they're a pretty aggressive team, right? Sometimes that catches you off guard.
Yeah.
And sometimes your draft doesn't allow you to counter that. And so I think Simplicity could, find themselves with a couple of games. Do I think Tempo will still win? Most likely. Like odds are probably in their favor. But is it going to be close? I think it might be closer than we think. Like I have a lot of respect for all the teams in NA right now, and I have to assume that they are all doing the maximum amount of preparation, the maximum amount of practice, and that they are going to be better than we have seen them the week before. Because that's what everyone's expecting of us, is that LFM this week is going to be even better than last week. And so if everybody is improving at a relatively the same rate, and some people have, these breakthrough weeks, everybody is only getting better.
Right. Well, and like that's, I guess, it can be 3-1 and still be close, right? Just because it's 3-1 doesn't necessarily mean that the difference is, like it can be a core call and a 1% core. You can still end up with 3-1. I think I have my own personal issues with Simplicity. This is similar issues to what I had, how I felt about Naventic, and how I felt about all the iterations of everything that they were, right? But yes, they can do great things. They could come out and they could do something to Tempo. We don't know who we're gonna get from Tempo on Saturday. We don't know what Simplicity we're gonna get. So what's interesting about NA, especially after last week, it's very apparent that anyone can win a game. Anyone can win a set, right? So I that's why I love the state of where we are at this point. Anybody can win, and the only way to find out is to watch the game, which makes for like great as a consumer of HGC product. It makes that much more fun. It makes my weekends where I want to see the games, because it's not, oh yeah, that's a given. Like, the people that thought LFM was just going to straight up lose to GFE, right? Those people existed. That's not saying anything bad about LFM. Those people existed. Well, they missed a great set because they were like, oh yeah, LFM is going to lose. I'm not going to watch this. Well, no, they didn't watch the set, right? Like, and that's what we have here in Tempo versus Simplicity.
All right. I think that's very fair. I think you both made really good points. I am just going to slightly disagree, but we are arguing over semantics about how close the games will be, as opposed to just I think we all agree that Tempo is going to win. It's just a matter of by how much they win. By
how much?
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on to Sunday, the last day of HGC for this coming week. Starting us off is Korea at 4 a.m. We've got Blossom versus KSV. I've got KSV winning 3-0. LiQuiud.
I think Blossom's going to surprise KSV and take a map, but that's it.
That would surprise me.
Yeah.
At 6 a.m., we've got the matchup of the week as far as Korea is concerned. That is Ballistics. Whoa.
This is the matchup of the week, period.
I mean, I didn't want to spoil it, but I was going to mention that later. Yes. This is the matchup of the week. It's kind of a light week as far as matchups go in HGC. Last week, we had a bunch of great matchups. Like, we had Tempo versus Freedom. We had Tempo versus Team 12. We had both the method matches. This week, Korea is bringing us the highlight matchup of the week. It's Ballistics versus Temps. Both the teams are undefeated. Both these teams have yet to drop a map. They are 9-0 in map score, 3-0 in match score. I'm picking Ballistics to win 3-1. I think Tempest's luck runs out. I don't want to say it was a fluke when they 3-0'd KSV, but I do want to say that it's not a repeatable thing. I still think Ballistics is the second best team in Korea. I think KSV is still the best team in Korea, and Tempest is forever third.
All right. Well, I disagree.
All right.
Tempest is going to win 3-2. They're going to come in. They're going to come in hot after their win on Saturday, where they 3-0 Feliz. They're going to be riding that, come in against Ballistics and be like, yep, what's up? We're going to beat you guys. It's going to go 3-2. But whatever way this set goes, these two teams never disappoint to put on a show. Ever. The top three in Korea is always fun to watch them play each other.
I wish I could think of, off the top of my head, a really entertaining bet right now, because I strongly believe Ballistics is going to win this series.
I'm sure
Strong.
chat could come up with something that we would have to do on the show next week, depending on who won.
And if they can think of something good, I will happily agree to it because I think Ballistics is going to win, and I no doubt about it in my mind.
And no, I will not buy a Team Freedom jersey and wear it if Ballistics.
All right, so moving on to Europe. At noon, we've got LiQuiud versus Method. It should be a really competitive series. I don't have it highlighted because it's not like a who's fighting for who for first place type matchup, or this is for a playoff spot matchup. It's just kind of like a litmus test matchup.
It should be a good game.
It should be a good series because now Method took 2 off the chin. One from Dig and one from Fnatic. They get to play LiQuiud, which if you listen to the episode we had with Caldor, he's really high on LiQuiud this year. And I'm curious, like maybe it was just a speed bump where they kind of like just had a bad day where they lost to Diamond Skin. Maybe LiQuid is as good as they looked week 1, and it should be a great series. But that being said, I'm picking Method 3-2. I'm going with the talent that I see on Method's roster. And what do you think?
I agree. It's gonna be. I think it'll be a super good game. I think Method will take LiQuid, but I think the set will be excellent to watch.
Okay, Hero, do you have any thoughts on it, or just not enough EU watching because there's not enough hours in the day?
Not enough. I really haven't seen too much of them. Like I'll watch the games mostly just in passing, just to see, every now and then I'll catch a neat composition or a neat rotation or a neat timing on something. Right. I know LiQuid's had a coach for a long time, and I think that's the dream, is to be able to work with a team for such a long period of time. LiQuid's roster, I think if they get the proper direction, I'm hoping they can pull it through. And if Caldor's been watching scrims or he's seen something in there, I mean, that's a pretty credible source. At the same time, I've been a really big fan of Method too, and they are probably top 3 in EU. So there's a good chance that Method will win the series, but LiQuid on any given day can just come out and take the series, go home.
I think that's fair. I don't know if Nabby's still in chat, but feel free to share your insight, Mr. EU coach. All right, at 2 p.m. we've got Diamond Skin versus Fnatic. I think this is going to be a fairly one-sided affair. Of course, I also thought that Diamond Skin was going to lose the LiQuid. So what do I know? I think Fnatic's going to win 3-0. But listen, I could be shocked.
3-1.
Right?
Diamond Skin's taking a map. Fnatic's still a little rough. Fnatic's still a little rough.
I can see that. I'm not going to change my pick, but that's something I could absolutely see. I would agree with you there. All right, over to North America, capping off week 3. At 5 p.m., we've got Space Station versus Tempo Storm. I'm a little down on Space Station right now. I've already talked about it.
You are.
I'm picking Tempo to win this to sweep. I'm picking Tempo to win 3-0. What do you think?
3-1.
Hero, thoughts?
I think the schedule doesn't favor them in this way, right?
It doesn't.
Is you've just come off a couple losses. You're getting matched up. Doubleheader weeks are tough. I'll say that much. When you have double headers, not only do you have to prepare for both, right, but it's also physically, mentally draining for the players because they have to scrim hard, and then they know they have to perform. Even if they get a day in between, you're still doing kind of a double header back to back. So, double header weekends are tough. Taking on Tempo at the very end of it all, that's pretty tough. Tempo will probably take that one. Hopefully Space Station puts out a good showing. Maybe they've got some strategies that, hopefully give them a little bit of a higher probability, but I think Tempo is going to be taking that series.
I think that's fair, man. That's a good point. When you got to prepare for 2 matches in a weekend, that's literally double the amount of work you have to put into it and the same amount of work time allotted.
Right.
And then to cap off the weekend, we've got Heroes Hearth Esports taking on Team 12. Heroes Hearth, I think, is the sleeper in North America, but I do believe that Team 12 is still the team to beat, and I'm picking them to win 3-1. LiQuid.
Same. I agree. It'll be rough for me to. Your boss is still in chat, so keep this in mind, buddy. One day, Team 12 may be replaced as my favorite team in NA. That day is not today. I am, however, high on Heroes Hearth. You know this. We've been talking about Heroes Hearth since they qualified. This is even before they qualified, since last year through Open Division. I watch Open Division really closely. I've loved Heroes Hearth. I can't wait to see what they do. I do not think it's going to... I think they'll take a map. I don't think they take the set. But like anything else, it can happen, right? Who knows?
I mean, they're coming off a strong performance last week.
Yep.
And again, if you think they're only getting better, they've got great coaching now as well.
Yes.
Team 12, I mean, they've been playing solid. Now it's just a matter of whether or not Heroes Hearth has gotten to that level. This is their time to show it off. I do see a world where Heroes Hearth can take a series off them. It would be very close, very tight. So I'm expecting competitive. I'm expecting some pocket strategies. I think they can try to play standard, but I think they'll need to pull something extra out if they do want to take the series.
Right. I would agree. I would love... It'd be weird to see it, but I would love to see it. Heroes Hearth is... They're not going anywhere. I don't think they're Crucible team. I think they're going to just keep getting stronger and stronger. The same with you guys. I don't think LFM is going to hit the Crucible. I think you guys will get stronger. I expect some other teams to drop down into those spots. It'll be interesting to see who it is, but I think the two Open Division teams this season or this year will stay safe.
Yeah. I mean, I will say everyone's 1 and 2 right now. There's 5 teams there.
Yeah. Any
one of those 5 could find themselves in those bottom 2 spots. Us at LFM, we play like we're last. Right now, HGC standings, if you go to the webpage, we're last. We're number 8. So that's the position we're playing from. So every week we got to keep bringing it.
Yep.
Good. That's really the mindset you have to have, and it's going to be week in and week out. And like you said, it's a marathon, so just take it 1 week at a time. Try to get as much as you can out of it 1 week, and then focus on the next week. That's all you can do. And with that, I just want to I want to wrap this up. Last week, my predictions, 19 points out of a possible 36 to bring up my season total 44 points. Again, the scoring is 0 points for getting the prediction wrong, 1 point for getting it right, and bonus points, so 2 points if you get the match score right as well. LiQuiD's score is unavailable because he was dead with the flu. The plague.
Yeah, it was so bad.
But he's sitting on 12 points from week 1, and he is trying to catch up. Guys, matchups that you don't want to miss for this weekend. Again, I already highlighted it, but it's Sunday at 6 in Korea. Ballistics versus Tempest at 6 a.m. Eastern. Both teams are 3-0 with a 9-0 map score. It's the battle for first place in Korea. So if you can't catch it live because it's stupid early in the morning, make sure you catch the VOD because it's going to be great. And with that, I think we're done.
I'm going to add one thing. I'm going to add one thing here. So I mentioned it a little bit. I was dead with the plague last week. It was not good. So I did not get the Google form out for everybody to fill out to get your picks in so you can compete with Bahgz and I in our Trolls.gg challenge. But that tweet's going to go out this week. I'm going to be doing that tomorrow, relatively early in the day. So watch for that tweet. Follow Trollin HGC. Follow Trolls.gg, either account, and they'll both be retweeting it. But definitely fill it out. Get your picks in when I tweet that out. And I'll have the rest for the rest of the season. So we shouldn't run into this going forward. But definitely get your picks in if you want to compete with us. There will be prizes. So
we don't know what they are yet. TBD.
TBD.
All right.
Cool.
Amateur scene?
Amateur scene.
And the Mastermind Storm is awaiting them. Welcome to the paint train.
Kill the boss! Kill the boss! Can they do it? It's too much damage for me! And that's GG!
All right, so Open Division, North America, and EU. have both happened. Cup number 1 every Monday for the next 4 weeks. I think it's 4, maybe 5 weeks. There will be an NA Open Division Cup in the evening. Tuesday is day 2, and then during the day for North American people, but evening for European people, Cup is happening at the same time. So it's not like it was last year where it alternated back and forth. It is every Monday. Both regions are playing. Let's go over EU first. So we did have Team Singularity winning 2-0 over Team Go, and Manticore beating Valhalla 2-0 in the semifinals, which set up a 3rd place game. Team Go beating Valhalla 2-0, winning that 1st place and putting Valhalla in 2nd place. And then, excuse me, Team Singularity 2-1ing Manticore in the finals for the win. For anybody that doesn't follow the Open Division scene that closely, Team Singularity is the old EU Open roster, Never Lucky. Number of players on there are actually really solid, so definitely check them out if you can. That is the wrong link, Bahgz.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
And then over on the NA side, Cup 1 finished. We had in the semifinals XD 2-0ing ODI and SMV 2-0ing NA Lowell, setting up a 3rd place match with ODI beating NA Lowell 2-1. I will not pat myself on the back, but say my team rocked it out, getting that 3rd place position. Good job, guys. Setting up, though, a final between XD and SMV. XD winning that 2-1. That set was actually sick to watch. If you didn't get a chance to watch it and you watched no other Open Division games this week, watch that set. XD, of course, has Homicidal, Talking Trees, and Jin on it. SMV has Tiger JK, Prismaticism, Iacona, all ex-pros. And then Leon Black, who actually subbed in for, I'm going blank on who it was last year, towards the end of the year. So while he may not have been a pro, he has actually had some HGC playtime, and they actually look really solid. I know there's a couple of teams that have dropped players. That's right, he filled in for Stray. Thank you, WonderAid. So I know a couple of teams have dropped players, and I think he definitely played for Lag F too. I think Yipboss is also right. So he's been around. A couple teams have dropped players, sorry, to finish that thought, and are looking for more players. I know BKB's in Miami is still looking for a team as well. So I expect probably not Cup 2 to change too much, but in Cup 3, Cup 4, we should see some new teams breaking into that top 8 this time around. So definitely check out Open Division. Some great games there, some good stuff, fun to watch, and fun to see what's coming up with new teams that might be either moving into HGC or some of their players might get picked up during the roster swap period, mid-year. So
before we close off the amateur scene section, I just wanted to kind of share this thought and chew the fat with you guys and with Twitch chat here. Having these former pros kind of stack up and make new teams, and yes, they're winning, but the amateur teams are competing with them, and it's not a full 5 stack of like people that just got cut from HGC. It's like a couple of pros plus some amateurs. Now, how great is this for the amateur scene to make it more competitive as a scene? And again, now say one of these teams qualifies for the HGC, they bring in a couple of they bring in some new talent along with them. Like how great is this for the North American professional scene in general, but in particular the amateur scene? Because I think it's great.
Oh, I love it. It is awesome. It's interesting because as you build a stronger amateur scene, that only means that your postal scene or your professional scene is going to get stronger.
I've infected you with bad.
No, I saw a DJ Tyrant tweet that said postal while I was saying that, and it totally made me lose my train of thought. So I think a stronger amateur scene is great for the pro scene as it goes, right? If nothing else, you can feed new blood into the pro scene as you move through. But hopefully instead of just that, it's, new teams replacing old teams, new players replacing old players, like the whole gamut. So no, it's awesome. In my opinion, it's awesome.
I think it's great. It gives more people more opportunity. I think from the fans, it gives you new faces, new people to get behind. People are looking for, players to follow and players to cheer for.
Right.
Some people will follow players regardless of which team or organization they're following. And, you can follow them now all the way from open division, the amateur scene, all the way up into the professional scene. And there's a sense of that, we were there from day one supporting them, boosting them, getting them all the way up there. And so that personal connection is sometimes very, very strong.
A great example of that would be Cure, right? Like, so this is a guy that had a huge fan base as an amateur player, and then it's just kind of grown and became part of his legend, so to speak. Like when I see Schizo all the time, like, pressing those Cure emotes all the time in Twitch chat, it's just like that's part of it, right?
Yeah. And that's the same for the LFM guys, right? People were following Draded, they were following
exactly.
Forrest, like they're following all these guys all the way through, and so each and every one of those LFM guys, I think the names aren't quite household names yet, but people knew of them, people were following them, they were, wishing for the best success, and they're supporting them all the way, and it's fun to do.
But Draded's another great example of that, yeah. So no, I enjoy it. I think in a stronger amateur scene just makes it look that much better. So, yes. Cool. Are you good now?
I'm good, man. I'm
awesome.
happy.
Okay. All right. With that, we're going to go ahead and end the show right about on time, which is awesome. Thank you all for listening to Trollin HGC, a weekly podcast about Heroes of the Storm Esports, a member of the Trolls GG Entertainment Network. We stream live on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TrollsGG every week. On Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Hero, where can people find you? Where can people follow you? And what shout-outs do you want to share with the audience out there?
Hey, I hope people don't find me. Otherwise, they'll be asking all these questions, and I might give stuff away. You can find me. Everything's at HeroPhysio. Follow me on Twitch. I retweet a lot of Hero stuff. Every now and then, I'll tweet some out on my own. Most shout-outs go to LFM Esports for giving us all the chance. The players especially, they're the ones doing all the work. They've all got Twitch, three of them have Twitch accounts. They've all got Twitter accounts that you can follow. And I did this once already, so I should remember them all. You got FC Ignition, who I'm sure is streaming under Piggy Figgy now. You got Draded. You got The Aware, who's under TEH Aware. You got Special T _ and then you got the young Swabs Magoo or under Swab. So a couple of those guys stream, but they are grinding hard. They are working hard. I feel very lucky to have this group of guys to work with. And, the 3-2 win, that was all them. I'll say that was all them.
Awesome. Bahgz, where can people find you?
Guys, you can follow me on Twitter at Bahgz HGC. I tweet out pictures of my dog, whatever, stuff I'm doing throughout the day, as well as a bunch of esports stuff that I either tweet out my thoughts on or retweet. You can also watch me stream on twitch.tv/Bahgz. I've got a schedule now that's pinned to my Twitter. It's on the stream pages. I've got it everywhere. As you can find it on the Discord. So you can follow that to keep up with what I'm doing there as well. There's two things I want to mention tonight that to look forward to is if you enjoyed tonight's show and are interested in Blizzard's other esports offerings, consider subscribing to the weekly Blizz, where my buddy Guaz and I cover all of Blizzard's esports offerings. And you can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you can find a podcast, you can find the weekly Blizz. As well, something I just started last week with my buddy Ganjagoon. It's going to be on his channel this week. We do something it's like a side-by-side commentary with HGC Heroes popped in when his team's not playing and given his thoughts as the games were taking place. Armchair HGC, we're kind of calling it roughly. It's just a place to come down, take a plop down on the couch and watch the games with your buddies and, have a little fun while you're at it. So guys, that's where you can find me. We're doing that this Friday, starting with the EU games at noon Eastern. LiQuiud?
Blizz Sports, man. I like that. Blizz Sports.
It's gonna start trending.
I like that. That's great. Hashtag Blizz Sports. So I can be found on Twitter at LiQuiudGG. That's LiQiuDGG. I tweet whenever I'm about to do anything, so that's your best bet to follow me there. Thank you to all our Patreon supporters. If you enjoy the show, you can support us in a variety of ways. We are on Patreon, patreon.com/TrollsGG. You can leave us an iTunes review. Grab us, YouTube comments, send us messages. We love to hear feedback so that we can make the show better for you guys. You can follow us on Twitter at Trollin HGC for show announcements. And here's the Storm News. You can find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/TrollsGG. You can subscribe to our show on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and everywhere else that podcasts are available. Visit our website, www.trolls.gg. You can read some articles. We have a number of authors now writing articles. You can also catch up with all of our podcasts on demand. That includes entry-level esports and the Nexus Trolls. If you want to get in touch with us, Twitter DMs are open, or you can email us, trollin@trolls.gg. Thank you, chat, for, as always, watching the show and giving us lots of comments. Thank you, HeroPhysio, for joining us again. And we'll see everyone in the... You know what? Before I do that, thank you, Bahgz, as always, for being my great co-host and covering for me when I'm out. All right. I should have done that. I'm sorry, my man. We'll see you in the Nexus.
Peace out.
Thanks. Bye.